Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with another episode of our Battle Brothers Let's Play. So last time around we left off in Rhineburg, and Svein was killed in one of the battles that took place. And so today we're going to have to head out from Rhineburg and find some work and try to replace him with another spearman so that we have somebody capping off our right flank. I think we're going to head south to Friedewald because I do not like the idea of heading back north. I don't know, the last time we were up there it didn't go so well, so I figured let's stay down in the south for a little while. Right, so let's peek at Rhineburg, make sure we've got everything that we would need. Hugo is too expensive for how bad he is. Marketplace, actually that is a pretty nice price on a pitchfork. I'm gonna snag that. And armor, what do you got? You know what, that's not a terrible price either. I'm gonna grab that, and I think, yeah, Joseph, you need an armor upgrade, so that is actually perfect. I think that's pretty much it. There's no more work here. We did the last job that they had available, so let's head to Friedewald and see what they've got for us. I've been playing a little bit on my own time. I've got my own little playthrough on the same difficulty, and I've noticed that the game, I think, is a lot more difficult than it was in early access. I don't want to get in on that. Actually, I might want to get in on that. They already have them outnumbered. That might be some free loot. So you only get to keep what you kill. We're going to have to get in there and actually drop somebody if we want to, you know, take anything away from this. But we might be able to. The caravan people aren't particularly skilled in combat. But we are kind of far away, so I don't know where the enemy actually is. Anywho, I've been playing on my own time, and I've noticed that this particular version of the game is more difficult than the previous versions, which I think is a mistake. The game was already challenging enough. That was never really an issue. I think the game needed more to do, and it seems like, yeah, they've added some stuff with the ambitions and things, but I think the increased difficulty really takes away from the game, especially with how they implemented it, because a lot of the difficulty that's been added has been added like under the hood, so you don't actually know why you're losing. You just know that it sucks and it's happening. In my experience, I've had like several chances to attack at like 79-80% and miss them several times in a row, and statistically that is super unlikely. So there's obviously something else happening that the player can't see. Looks like they're fighting up here. That's causing that, and I don't like that there's this lack of transparency there. Like, if I'm getting killed, I want to know why I'm getting killed, and that used to be really obvious in the game, and it's become less so. And so that's, at least I find, disappointing. Again, it could just be this particular difficulty, and maybe I should go back down to a lower difficulty like veteran or whatever the other one is, easy. But I didn't really want to do that, but I'm finding the game less fun at this difficulty, not just because it's more challenging, but because it's more challenging in a way that doesn't seem fair. Because I don't mind getting beat in a fair fight, but it doesn't seem like the AI plays fair anymore. And I think a lot of people in the Steam forums are agreeing, because I've noticed a lot of people complaining about the game in the Steam forums, and I found that strange because the game, at least in my opinion, is awesome. I really, really enjoy the game. But I can see where people would be frustrated by it. It was already a really difficult game, as I mentioned. It was, when it came out, it was a really difficult game. They sort of dialed it back a little bit and made the game more balanced, and it seems like they're trying to go back toward that, like oh, we're gonna be like the turn-based Dark Souls, where we're super punishing and yeah, but I mean, to me, that's not, I don't know, I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy Dark Souls. I know that may or may not be a popular opinion, but I enjoy seeing everything the game has to offer and not having to re-roll 100 times because I keep getting killed for what seems to me to be no reason. So I hope they work on that. Obviously they're still working on the game, although it is 1.0, so the patches are going to be probably far less frequent. But I hope they continue to work on balancing it, because I feel right now that the game is not well balanced at all. I think it was better balanced previously. Like in the last version that we played before we upgraded to the 1.0 version, which there was another update between then, which essentially was the 1.0 version, just in like beta. The version before that we were playing in our last playthrough, I thought was really well balanced. It was definitely challenging through the early part of the playthrough. We were, you know, having a rough go of it, and then as we sort of made our way up and up and up and pushed through, the game got a little bit easier, and then we were able to do some of the other stuff, like go hunt down items and take on rare enemies that you wouldn't normally come across in the normal missions. And a lot of that stuff is gone from this version of the game. It's there, but you can't really get to it because you're basically grinding for survival at every turn. You can't really afford not to be doing work in this version of the game because the jobs are so few and far in between, and they pay so little that if you're not doing a job when there are jobs available, you're not doing any jobs. And that's something I think was a mistake too, is giving you less work isn't really adding to the game. If anything, it's taking away from the game, because the difficulty shouldn't be in finding work, it should be in completing the work. And the jobs are hard enough on their own, so when I have to run around for like 30 minutes worth of gameplay to just find something to do that will pay me money, I think that's kind of a bad mechanic. And I said it before when they first started sort of taking the game in that direction, that I didn't like it. I felt that, you know, I should be able to find work. There's obviously a lot going on in this like universe as far as bandits, and like there's no shortage of bandits. Certainly no shortage of bandits, and definitely no shortage of like orcs and other monsters. So why is there this shortage of work? Certainly you'd think people would be happy to throw some gold at me to go kill all these bandits running around their town, but you know, the game doesn't seem to reflect that. And so I think that needs to be worked on. What else? Some of the enemies are really poorly balanced, especially in regard to like the ancient dead. I know they're new, so they haven't really been play tested much, but there's a particular unit in the ancient dead called the I don't remember what it's called now. It's like the necro savant. That's what it's called. And it is probably the most bullshit enemy I've ever faced in this game, or maybe in any game, to be honest. If you haven't faced the necro savant yet, it's an undead creature that can turn into bats and teleport around the map, which already makes it incredibly frustrating. Add to that the fact that it carries around a two-handed khopesh, which is like those weird curved or partially curved Egyptian swords. Oh, sorry, dude. That wasn't one of mine, so whatever. I feel bad. So he has one of those. It's a really good weapon. It does a ton of damage and almost always leads to the enemy being bled or causing them to bleed. And so that, combined with the fact that he can teleport behind your line and attack in the same turn, I lost one of my best archers in my other playthrough in a single turn. Like the second turn of this battle, he had full health. The enemy teleported behind the lines and basically just beheaded him in one go. And I nearly rage quit. I decided to stick with it a little bit longer. I eventually ended up rage quitting, but I didn't enjoy that fight at all. And I think that it was really unfair the way that that particular unit works. Not to mention the fact that they regen health every time they deal damage to your HP. So if they kill one of your guys, they basically get all of his HP added to theirs. And they have the 9 lives perk, so if you kill them, they're not necessarily going to die. It's just so extremely frustrating. I could not put them down for the life of me. And as I said, I eventually just rage quit. And this was on like a 2 skull mission, and there were 2 of them, along with a bunch of auxiliaries and legionnaires. And it was like, what is this even? Like, this is supposed to be a medium difficulty mission, and there are like enemies in this fight that I cannot defeat, let alone like the rest of the army that's also killing me, which I was actually doing like moderately well against. You know, I could hold my own against the auxiliaries. The legionnaires were kind of tough, but you know, you can deal with them. But these guys are teleporting around and just one-shotting people in important places, and it's like, okay, well, so much for winning that battle. Alright, so now that that story's over, let's see about some work. I'm gonna sell this because I don't really need it. And let's actually get rid of some of this other stuff too. Don't need that. Don't need the dagger. Got a couple of these. I still haven't decided if I prefer this to the militia spear. It's more effective against armor. That's really the only advantage it has. It's more hit and miss in terms of damage. It can do a little bit more, but it can also do a little bit less. But it does ignore the armor. And so I've been a bit torn on whether or not these are worth using. I think the boar spear is definitely an upgrade, because it's more consistent in its damage and it's almost as effective against armor, so you may as well use the boar spear if you've got it. But between these two, I might lean a little bit toward the ancient spear, but I don't think it's as clear cut as I initially thought. Let's sell that one at least, and that looks pretty good. Actually, I'll get rid of this too. We've got a bunch of militia spears. Alright, so let's take care of some level ups. Xander, you need the gifted perk, but let's get your points allocated first. It kills me to give him melee defense there, so I think I'm going to give him melee skill instead, and then when we do gifted, maybe we'll do melee defense, because that's at least a couple more points. Doesn't feel as wasteful. There we go. Raymond, what can we do for you? Let's see here. You need some resolve. We'll keep working on that. Obviously, fatigue is never done. And then I'm gonna give him more melee skill. I want him to hit like a truck, and I want him to hit consistently. Now, in terms of perks, I would normally give them, whoever I was upgrading, the mastery thing as soon as I have it unlocked. But I typically don't leave him with a two-handed axe. I normally give him the pole axe, or the long axe, which is actually, I think, under the polearm mastery thing. So if I give him this, it won't apply to the weapon he's going to use down the road. So I think instead I'm going to give him Colossus, so that he's got more health and he's less likely to be injured. And that will help him, you know, deal with the fact that he doesn't have a shield. With Hagen, this is also his second level up, so we'll kind of stick to what we normally do here. Go gifted again. Something like that. And for Alexander, let's see here. Something along those lines, and then we could go brawny. We could go with I don't know. Could give him like dodge. Where's dodge? I just saw it. There it is. So you gain 15% of your initiative as a bonus to your defense. Which, what is your initiative? That's your morale. 91, so I don't know what that would be, maybe like 10? It's not terrible. Yeah, let's try. I don't typically go with dodge, and so I'm going to see if it's any good. But it sounds like it could be. Because 15% of initiative, and initiative is generally a pretty high number. Well, maybe not, but his is fairly high, so it'll be very obvious with him anyway. There is some armor and stuff here, but it's kind of expensive. Yeah, I'm not paying basically twice what it's worth. So we'll probably skip on that. You know what? That's actually a lot better, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Whoever we get to be our spearmen there, we'll give them this rugged surcoat. So speaking of, let's find somebody here. Fritz, I think you're hired. He is a historian, and he's dirt cheap, so we're going to hire him. He's also got 9 for daily wage, whereas this guy's got 8, so he's probably got better skills. But more importantly, as a historian, he's got the student trait, so he's going to gain XP faster. And I believe you can still give him the student trait on top of that, so you can pretty much stack those and he'll level up really, really quickly. Ooh, you're fragile though. Your HP sucks. That's going to be difficult to overcome, but we'll make him really defensive, I guess. And for now, take the sword, but if we aren't going to be fighting undead, I'll give you a spear. And have some bandages. Okay, so let us go ahead and sell off that. And then we need to give somebody that pitchfork. I'm thinking probably Ike, because Ike is a terrible archer. God-awful. So if he can join in some melee combat, that would be, you know, nice. We'll keep him with the bow, but he's probably going to be using the pitchfork more often. Albrecht has one. We're going to get his crossbow out, though. And then Maximilian, I guess you're fine with the militia spear for now. Alright, so let's take a look at these jobs. I'm a bit nervous and apprehensive about doing another 2-skull mission. 600, how about a little bit more? What is that, 660? More undead. I do not like fighting the undead. I don't like it. I used to really enjoy it, but then I've had some really, really poor experiences against them. Let's think about it. What's this one? We have to defend them. 680 to defend. Or drive off some brigands. That's not so bad. I thought they wanted me to defend the village. Hermit's Cottage. 680. The other one was offering less, which means it could be easier. Let's think about it. I don't know if I want to do either of those, to be honest. You know what? We'll do the undead one. It started off fairly low paying, which makes me think that it's going to be easier than the average 2-skull mission, but I could be entirely wrong. So I'm going to accept that contract, and then let's make sure everybody's ready for fighting undead. I'm going to give you a spear and a shield, and I'll do the same for you. You know what? I'm not going to risk... Wait, I thought it was controlling you. I'm not going to risk losing one of our boar spears, because if they die, we may not be able to loot it back. Mr. Ike, you're going to get your pitchfork out, and Maximilian, we're going to give you a pitchfork. And you can ditch the spear for now, I guess. I might keep one of you with a pitchfork, because honestly, the pitchfork is more effective than the spear is. But having a shield is also kind of handy. Let's see, you've got pretty good defense. Your defense isn't as great, so let's do that instead. Okay, so where are we headed? Down here, huh? If there are Necro Savants here, I'm just gonna fail the mission. I'm not even gonna try. But if not, we'll take a crack at it. So what do we have? Unknown, that's unnerving. Many legionnaires. That sucks. That really sucks. I am not going to fight that. I can't... we're going to retreat right out of the gate, but I don't see a way that we can win this. If it were like many auxiliaries, I would consider it, but I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to try. Like, it kills me to retreat, but each one of these guys is better equipped than any one of mine. And they do have pikes, so all we can really hope to do here is surround them. But they're going to be hitting harder than we are. They're going to be better armed, or better armored than we are. I don't know. Let's try it. If we lose, we lose. I'm not one to back down. Everybody just wait. We're going to let them come to us at least. The thing is, I don't know if they even take fatigue because they're undead. I forget if that's a thing in this game. There are a lot of games where undead don't tire because they're dead. Obviously, like, you can't get a muscle cramp if you're made out of bones, and only bones. Plus they're being, you know, animated by magic, which generally means that they're entirely magical in nature and therefore don't really require, like, you know, sustenance or anything like that. God, ranged weapons are just so useless against these guys. Well, we could try to rush them. I don't know how well that would go over. I'm probably not going to do that. I will put you here. Possibly there. No. You're going to have to stay there and just... I'm going to have him spear wall since he has a spear. Everybody else is just going to raise their shields. You're actually going to get away from the flank a little bit. Yeah, so get those shields up. I should move you up a little bit higher, actually, but we can deal with that later. Too late now. So everybody is ready to take a hit if the enemy charges, which I assume that they will, because they really don't have anything to deter them from it. Unfortunately, most of my guys are going at higher initiative than them, so that ended up being kind of a waste. Yeah, we just wasted fatigue there. Unfortunately. Shoot somebody, it doesn't matter who. Okay. I'm actually going to move you up and get your spear out. And you're going to get your shields back up. Unfortunately, again, we did waste that fatigue, but I'm not going to end their turns. I'm just going to raise their shields and then defer till later, so that when they move in, if they move in, we will still be able to attack. I think you're probably okay, actually. I'll have you... I'm not going to end your turn yet. That seems like a bad idea, but I may not bother raising his shield because this spot is being blocked off. So we need to do our best to tear through these shields as quickly as possible. And these guys are going to be stabbing us the entire time. I'm wondering how good those pikes are. I don't know what they're equivalent to exactly. So they could be as good as a normal pike, they might be slightly inferior. I know a lot of the Ancient Dead's equipment is actually supposed to be worse than normal. Well, definitely worse than like second tier gear, but probably somewhere equivalent to first tier gear. But even their shields, like the standard oval shields that they are not fielding right now, the one that he's got, is worse than a round shield in terms of stats. Often it doesn't seem that way because of how effective the Ancient Dead are. But yeah, they're actually not very good equipment, for the most part anyways. I'm going to move you into here, I think, because I need somebody hacking away at his shield. Well, I guess both of them can do it. And why don't you just start bludgeoning him? And I'll move you up and get your shield raised. I need you guys to start hitting. I'm actually going to pass your turn because Raymond might be able to dispatch one of their shields. And I'd rather them attack after that's done rather than before. So yeah, now they can attack without worrying about him blocking it. Over here, let's step you into this spot and you can sort of work on him, and then if he moves in to either of these, you can help out that way as well. 18 over there. Let's take the 75 on him. See, missed it on a 75% chance. That just seems statistically unlikely. I mean, it is statistically unlikely. It doesn't seem that way. Obviously, that stuff happens. It's just, it seems to happen quite often. More often than statistics would suggest. Keep blocking. I've been trying something with this weapon. Cleave does a bunch of bleed damage, which obviously is worthless against skeletons. So I have been trying to use Decapitate instead, because it has a higher damage threshold, and it seems like it would be more effective against skeletons. The issue is that it uses up a bunch of fatigue, but I've been curious to see if when it hits, does it hit a lot harder. Okay, let's finish that shield off and then maybe hack away at him directly. Raymond, unfortunately, is... without that shield, he's just very vulnerable. Everybody's going to be shooting at him, or, I mean, poking at him, I guess is more accurate. But yeah, all of these guys are going to be focused on him. Yep. So let's see. Let's start clubbing at him. Make sure we keep our shields up, though. Can't afford to take any unnecessary damage. We just can't seem to hurt these guys. I'll keep poking away at him, but it's taken us forever to get through that armor. We just don't really have weapons that can deal with armor this early. Like the pickaxe is really the best thing that you can find for that this early in the game, and we haven't really come across any. I think we had one at one point and we sold it, but it was fairly damaged. So really all you have to deal with armor at this point is like axes, and they're not the best for that. They can make do, but I don't know. We can't seem to land any hits anyways, so it doesn't seem to matter. His armor is already completely destroyed by a really terrible sword. Like these broken swords are really, really bad. If you wield them yourself, you're gonna have a pretty hard time doing damage to anything. But they seem to wield them pretty effectively, so I just don't know what to do at this point. I mean, honestly, we'll be lucky to kill any of these guys. We should probably just flee, but I'd rather just, you know, if we're gonna go down, let's just go down. It's gonna happen, so let's hang in there and see what we can do. You can either attack once or defend. I'm gonna get your shield up, at least you'll survive a little bit longer. Meanwhile, we'll keep poking away at him. I've noticed a thing too where every time we destroy some of these armor, we seem to get a lot of headshots. And that shouldn't happen. Headshots are supposed to be rare things like criticals. So I find it a bit funny that every time I destroy somebody's armor, I, without fail, get a headshot. It's like, okay, you know, I softened him up, I can hit him in the torso now and kill him, but guess what? I'm hitting that 100 armor helmet instead. Perfect. So yeah, I think balancing needs a lot of work. They seem to have made the game worse in this latest update, and I have found it a lot less enjoyable because of that. I still enjoy the game, but I, at this point, want to go to a lower difficulty just because I feel like I'm getting beat by RNG, and RNG alone, playing this difficulty. The enemy's not like out tacticking me or anything like that. That didn't really make sense, but yeah, the enemy's not using superior tactics. They're just landing all their hits all the time, and my hits aren't landing or are ineffectual when they do land. Just keep attacking, I guess. Raymond's trying to flee, which isn't a good sign because he has fairly high resolve. It's like 60 something. And so we just lost 2 turns to that. which could have been the difference over here. I mean, they're still going to lose, but we could have killed him by now if they had both been able to attack. And you have missed, I don't know how many shots at, like 60-some%. Oh, Raymond's dead. There goes his entire armor in one shot. Who knew that swords were so effective against armor? Because they aren't for me. And these pikes are just destroying us. See, my plan was to try to surround them, but that failed pretty quickly because all of my guys had to deal with these frontline guys or be slaughtered. I'm just going to keep pouring on the hits. Maybe we can do damage faster than they can. There's a kill at least. Yeah, this ain't going well. We might be able to pull out a victory, but it's going to be an ugly one. And keep in mind, this was a 2-skull mission, too. This was not like a 3-skull or anything close to that. That was another 64% miss. So he's like 0 for I don't know how many at this point. And keep in mind, like, all of these are statistically, like, 2 out of every 3 should hit. And so that means 1 out of every 3 should miss. Multiply that by how many shots he's taken, and you get a number that is pretty ridiculous. Let's see. What can you do for me here? Kronar, you bastard. You have the most health of anybody. Well, I guess Maximilian's doing alright, but most of these guys are pretty injured and they're holding their ground. He's only taken a couple hits, maybe only 1 hit, and he's running. It looks like my archers have become the front line. Oh look, we finally hit. And it did nothing. Is he bleeding? He's got his gut stabbed. Yeah, whatever. I really don't like that they made the bandages ally only. You used to be able to bandage yourself in older versions of the game, and I feel like that system was far superior to this one. So we've only killed 1 of them. And they've killed half of our army at this point. Normally you'd retreat long before this. I probably should have retreated at the onset, but whatever. At this point I want to lower the difficulty because I don't find this one fun. So if we lose and we start over, that's not a big deal to me. I prefer that at this point. You can't do anything but switch weapons, so I guess go ahead and do that. And swing and a miss. I find it almost really funny how often he misses because he has better melee skill than, or had in this case, he's dead now, had better melee skill than most of our frontline guys and the best range skill of any of our party. And he just can't seem to hit a damn thing no matter what. And I don't know why that is. Like, the game mechanics used to be clear as to why you were missing. Something was intervening, or you had a low hit chance. But as it stands now, it's like, okay, how many times will we miss that guy? And I understand against these guys with the shields because their shields are pretty good. These particular shields are a lot better than the oval ones. And all of the legionnaires have I forget, the shield expert perk. So they're good with shields, and that means they're hard to hit. I get that. But these guys don't have that perk. And the guy with his shield broken certainly doesn't benefit from that, but we still can't hit him, no matter how many times we try. So yeah, our army's gonna get completely slaughtered here, but I don't care. We're sticking with this one till the end. Okay, so what's our chance to hit here? 62%. And we finally land a hit. Alright, so that's the end of that. Everybody was killed. Apparently a lot of them were, well actually no, just he was beheaded. But yeah, that's our party. So we're entirely wiped out. We're gonna end the episode here, obviously, and then in the next episode we'll come back with a fresh playthrough at probably a lower difficulty so that we can actually make some progress. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I've had a great time playing some Battle Brothers with you, and I look forward to seeing you back here for the next episode.